welcome to the Mama's Day. Even though I'm singing, it's not a happy day.
Oh, Felicia's not here either.
We miss you because life.
Yeah.
It's a perfect setup for
I think
today's
she
episode.
screwed up with her boob.
Ooh, she said. Ashley thinks she fake called in sick so she can lay up.
I ain't even mad.
I'm not mad
lay
either.
up.
Okay, that's a personal day.
And she gonna find out when she listens.
Oh, you
to
know
it.
I'm gonna call her. I'm gonna be like, girl, was you really sick or
wet.
wet? And why didn't I think of that? She beat me to it. That's why I was pissed. Can't all leave.
You got too many damn kids in the house. That's why you can't stay home with
no one
personal
believes
day.
you'll be
I'll
at
be
home
honest.
alone. Boo
I actually was gonna call off, and then the baby was crying. I was like, fuck that shit. I'm coming in.
You
know-
got this, Gia.
You know it's real when you leave to go work, to go do work, find work to get away from your kids.
That I really did. I was like, I need to rest, and I was like, I'm not gonna rest because I'm just gonna be parenting.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd rather just go to the podcast because I enjoy that. At least I enjoy doing that. I mean, I like my kids, but you know what I'm saying.
I literally have to leave. Now, granted, I know we have a whole story to tell about your weekend, but like in terms of leaving my children, like, I mean, Ashley calls Langston my Velcro baby.
Girl.
But it's sometimes Aristotle.
Oh.
And so like my best friend was in town this weekend, is in town.
Yeah, I gotta meet her.
And she got to see like we came in the house from being out for a little bit and they're just like, pick me up. Where'd you go? Why'd you leave? Why are you gone so long? Why'd you leave me with daddy? Like, like, and they
How do
just
you manage
like,
this?
I
Like, is there a part of you that secretly loves it though?
there's
Yes.
a part at the core. Like I appreciate it. I love that they love me this much. But it is hard. Cause like I'm trying to remember, we went out and came back and they were just like, oh my God. And we had to leave again. We knew that. We had to come back for some reason. And they were just freaking out. And I was like, as soon as they kind of forgot for a second, I was like, I have to leave now while they're not paying attention. And that's the sad part because I often can't say bye
Oh wow.
because it'll just be like a thing.
It's interesting because Kaya over the holidays recently got very attached to Jared because he's always like in and out gone because of work. And so when he was off and he was at home every day, she literally stopped saying any other words but dada. Like I became dada, brother became dada, pictures, the dog everything became dada. And she literally would scream at him if he walked by and didn't pick her up. And at first I was like, what's that like to be loved so much? And I was like, I don't think I want to know. I'll be honest, because
You ain't wrong.
she's so attached to him that I'm like, that's so sweet, but also like, ooh, like because I see the pressure, he just succumbs to it. Now, I don't know if it's just because the daddy-daughter thing, but like he really just is like, okay, I'll pick you up. Me, I'm just like, girl, please stop crying.
That's
That is
how
my
Tata
life.
is with me.
She needs you all the time.
Girl, that's why I came in today. Because if I'm around, she doesn't want anybody else. She's perfectly fine. Like I literally walk in the door and she doesn't see me. She's playing, hanging out, just chilling, playing with her toys. When I walk in the door, she won't play. She will sit on my lap. She wants to sit on my lap and play with her toys. She wants to sit on my lap and eat. She wants to sit on my lap and do all things through Christ, the strengthens her.
Yes, she does. Through Ashley, who strengthens her.
Through
Okay?
Ashley.
Girl. And I just, it's very draining for me. I love that my kids love me, but they're all up my butt and around the corner.
You know what? And which brings us to what we were going to talk about today, because I really thought about you because, for example, Cameron has been sick, as I've shared this, every other week since October. It has been crazy.
Yeah.
And then I think about people who have more than one child, or I now have two children. Fortunately, the baby has skated all of the things that Cameron has brought home.
Thank God.
Thank God. But I think of you often because I get super anxious when any one thing gets wrong with one of my children. Like it could be anything. It could be you're not sleeping properly, you didn't eat properly, you didn't poo enough today. Oh, you came home with an ear infection. Like I get so much anxiety based off of knowing that this increases my workload.
Yep.
I'm not going to sleep well. They are suffering and I can't do anything about it. Like it's so hard. And I think about you all the time. So I'm like, what do you do? Like, have your children all been sick at once? Like, how do you do that?
You know what's interesting? It's that I don't know why this happens in families. Like with a lot of kids, it's usually domino. So it's like someone gets it, then the next person. So then it's like your house is sick
Which
for
is
a month.
almost worse.
It's
though.
very much so worse because when we had COVID, everyone was like, this was the first time we had COVID. And people were like, Well, actually not the first time. The first time we had COVID, we didn't know it was COVID. The second time we had COVID, when they had tests, it was like, okay, you have COVID. That was when it first was known, and people were like, you should wear a mask around your kids. And me and Cheer were like, absolutely not. I'm about to get everybody up in this house sick because I don't want to deal with this again. Those little children of God did not get sick. They had a fever for one day.
Yeah.
I don't think I let them watch so much TV in their life because we were,
that's
down
absolutely
bad.
what we did.
Yeah, we were down bad. Like, I don't remember. Isn't it crazy? I'm like, who fed them? Because I swear to God, me and Chia were in the bed like all day, every day for like 3 weeks. I don't know how we got through that. But now it'll be like somebody gets a fever, then they're fine. 2 days later, the other person gets a fever. So it's annoying because it's like never ending.
People used to say, like, maybe when my babies were little, like if one of them gets sick, let the other one get it, like
I
right away.
Why? Yep.
Remember do that with chicken pox.
That's what I was gonna say. Remember when we were younger? Did y'all used to do chicken pox parties?
I do vaguely remember.
Isn't that wild?
You're right.
Yes, like
your cousin got
chicken pox.
Go over their house. Yep. Go over their house. Go get the chicken pox.
Wait, Melanie, does Cam wear a mask at school?
No.
Do your kids?
So,
and ever since, I will say this: when Cameron was wearing a mask at school, everything was great. He was in school; it was fine. As soon as they took those masks over, everybody got sick.
But is it optional?
Oh, he could wear a mask if he wants to.
So
yes.
I have had the babies in masks since I guess the new year, and they've been fine. And honestly, I did it for me. Like I honestly, before the end of the year, I had them not in masks, but partially because the school does COVID tests once a week, and
your school still does COVID tests once a week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Their school does. Brooks' school does not.
Okay.
The babies, those kids are not vaccinated. Like they don't have to be.
Right.
Whereas Brooks' school, everybody is. So I guess they just don't care anymore. But so at the baby school, they test once a week. And so I felt like a little bit of safety with that.
Yeah.
But they were still bringing home all these colds that I was then getting constantly.
Yeah.
So at the top of the year, I have been putting them in masks every day. And they have been fine. Like little sniffles here and there. What?
The flip side of that is the reason why everybody's getting so sick is because
But we already been sick.
I know, but
we've been through it.
You got to build up their immunity because if not, this is going to be ongoing forever and ever and ever. It has to kind of like
I hear that, but also can a bitch get a break? Because maybe you wear this mask 1 month and the next month it's back on, but I need a break. Like, because even Cameron, when he picked up this last cold again, he actually opted. He's like, Mommy, I'm going to wear a mask to school. Wow. And I said, really, buddy? He says, yes, I just don't want to get anybody else sick because I keep getting sick because people aren't wearing masks. And it's true. So like, I volunteered at his school and I see it like people send their kids, and we've talked about this, people send their kids to school sick. And it's just like, oh my gosh. But at the same time, I understand that it's necessary and all of it.
Yeah.
But like,
there's pros and cons of this right now.
It's just wild. So I can't even, this is what I'm saying. Like, when I think about multiples and kids getting sick, like babies getting, I just don't. And then you also went through something else recently.
Oh God.
With AZ.
So, first it started with Asia. She got some kind of weird ass skin virus that is like a 2 month to a 5 year healing process. Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I didn't tell you that.
No.
Oh, it can take 2 months to 5 years to clear up. And so one of my other really close friends, when I told her about it, she was like, oh my God, my son had that on his elbow. And she was like, it just went away. And he's 8 and he got it when he was 4.
Oh, wow.
4. There's no cure. And so because it's highly contagious, in order to minimize it, because no one else has gotten it, and for her to have a normal life, because they also tell you don't have to keep your kid home. They can go to school. Yeah. It's fine. You have to put silver nitrate on it, which turns the skin temporarily black. So my child looks like a Dalmatian right now, from her feet to her arms.
But wait, I thought it was in one spot.
No, girl, it's spread because she was scratching it. And this is before we knew what it was. So if you scratch it, it has oil in it. It's like poison ivy.
Yeah, it's like poison ivy.
The oil is poisonous. If you leave it, like Azar had one, she was like, oh, hell no. She, her Virgo ass. She was like, Mom, put some medication on it. She put a Band-Aid on it. It went away. Done. Gone. Yeah. Probably will never have it again. But Asia, she was scratching. We had no idea what it was until we went to the doctor. So it was too late. So it spread all over her whole body.
But Asia also has
severe eczema. And so people with severe eczema have lower immune systems.
Yeah, her immune system's already
compromised. And they're at higher risk for it and they suffer from it worse. So she's just suffering. And I was just crying because I'm like, my poor baby already has skin issues with her eczema. Now she has this. And she wants to be in dance. And I'm like, damn, she's going to have to put like a turtleneck on underneath her leotard. And that just makes me feel bad for her. I've just been having a lot of thoughts because, you know, I think we take the health of our children for granted. Sometimes when your children are born and they don't have any delays or they don't have any of those, anything that's like, okay, they'll need consistent medical attention. You kind of, I feel like I kind of took that for granted because you just go on with your life. Your life is not altered. Yeah. And I think the parents that have to deal with that every day are far more aware of like, thinking about what their children's lives will be like, right? Mm-hmm. And I find myself consistently thinking about Asia's life. Like, is this going to be an ongoing thing for her as far as like, well, it even started with the baby and her tooth. When her tooth got knocked out. And I'm like, they're like, oh, she's not going to have a front tooth until her adult tooth grows in. I'm like, that could be when she's like 10 or 13. So she's going to be walking around 6, 7, 8 years old with one tooth. You know, because normally when your kid's tooth falls out, another one grows back in immediate. It's not like they're going 5, 6 years without a tooth. Right. So I was like, damn, like that's messed up. Then Asia, I'm like, how long is this going to be? And is it going to affect her and the other kids seeing it? And then like, you know, like that just affects your confidence. And then now what happened with AZ, like she just has some weird allergy attack. And I think she might be allergic to the medication that we're using for Asia's skin. Because it's so strong. Like, I know some people don't use the same towel every day, but in our house, like I need you to use it a couple days in a row. Yeah, like some people
who doesn't use the same towel every day?
I know a lot of people who only
use a hotel.
I know a lot of people who use a towel once a day, and that's it.
What?
Yes.
That's wild.
So, but we have to do that.
It's a life of luxury.
So the girl
and laundry,
honey, and electric bill and water bill.
Yeah.
So I'm doing laundry every single day because no one can use the same towel every day because of what Asia has, just to make sure it doesn't spread. Yeah. And then the stuff is so potent; it smells so strong. It's like I'm washing the towels and I can still smell the medication, like in all of our towels now. So I don't know if Azara's allergic to it, but she was sitting at the dinner table. She's like, "Mommy, my eye hurts." I looked over and it was like Hitch. Her eyes are just swollen shut. And I'm like,
it looked like she got stung by a bee in the eye.
It was horrible. And it started in one eye. And I gave her some Benadryl, laid her down, put ice on her eye. She took the ice off her eye and it was even more swollen. Oh, wow. So that's what scared me because normally when something's swollen, you put ice on it, it stops the blood flow, which brings it down. Right. No. Then they both swell
I'm wondering, not that I'm a doctor or anything, but I wonder if laying down, the pressure of laying down caused blood to go rather than standing up.
You know, I
don't know. Nobody knows the answers, but
that's just so sneezing uncontrollably. And then I was like, yes, but then I was scared because I didn't know if it was going to turn anaphylactic and be like, can you? And I kept bleeding like,
so did they answer that? Like
they said it was not anaphylactic because we would have noticed. Right. I gave her Benadryl. An hour later, her eyes were still swollen. And that's why I took her to the emergency room because they weren't going down. Yeah. And I was starting to get anxious. But this also goes into how we parent differently, right? Because Chia is a very casual person about everything. Like my kid's arm could be hanging off halfway and he would be like, but they'll be fine. And I'm like, go to the hospital immediately. So this becomes like an argument point for us because he's always just so chill, and he was chill about Asia's leg and it was really fractured and he didn't know. And I listened to him and she was walking around for a week on a fractured leg because he was like, she's fine. I'm like, but she can't walk. And we're just carrying her everywhere. And I'm like, this is very alarming to me that she's not walking. She's fine. She's fine. You overreact to everything. Then a year later, find out that her leg was indeed fractured.
Not a year later.
A year later. Okay. A year later. Because we took her to get it x-rayed, and the doctor told us that it wasn't fractured. Then we went to a new doctor, and they looked at her chart, and it was actually fractured. The doctor reported it to us wrong.
Yeah.
But I was right. It was my point.
But, okay, so what does Azara's eyes look like today?
They're still swollen.
But you're going to do the allergy test. Okay.
Yeah. And so they can't be on any Benadryl or Zyrtec for like almost close to a week before they get an allergy test because it affects the reading. Yeah. So they have to be like completely out of their system.
So the goal right now is to not take Benadryl and to not have another reaction, but we don't know what caused it.
Exactly.
And we think it could be the.
So I had her shower in my bathroom today, and I'm like, I have to keep them completely separate from.
And they share a room.
I know. Yeah. She slept in my bed last night. And I didn't get no sleep because she has night terror. So she was like fighting me in her sleep the whole night. Just like punching me, kicking me like, oh, no. Like, and the baby, I was in between them. She's in the bed next to me. She has slept on the couch. Then the baby's in her crib next to me. And she's rolling around, farting in her sleep, just moving and grooving. Like neither one of them were sleeping. And I'm like this. At 5:30, I went into the room and Chia was getting off the couch because he heard her. And I was like, get one of them out of the room now.
It's your turn.
Or everyone's going to die.
Right.
Like, it was just frustrating, but it's just scary because I am such a paranoid parent. You know, And I just always think about what my mom said. She's like, there's never an age where you don't have to worry about your children's safety.
Yeah.
And that scares me because I'm like walking through the hospital last night holding AZ's hand. Like, some people go to the hospital with their kids and never leave.
And don't get out. Yeah.
Or leave with them completely changed and something. There's a mom on Instagram right now. Her baby, he's 1. He got meningitis. And it has, and this is their 4th child, 4th or 5th, completely changed their entire life. That poor baby is like, he had 5 strokes. And I just think about that. Like, if she was like, took him to the hospital, thought it was allergic reaction, you know, brought him back home. So this is like an ongoing thing so even when you take him, you're like,
yes,
you know what I mean?
But the job or the work, right, is like, that's natural in terms of our reaction to that, our reaction to what you're going through, our reaction to the fear. It's fear. And I think,
also, not to interrupt, but just remembering that like our circumstances and our own traumas trigger that anxiety of what it is. Ash, you've shared this, like you've been through a lot. You've lost a sibling, you've seen a lot, you've been through a lot. So you have this awareness of anxiety when it comes to health and safety and longevity of life, basically, you know? And that absolutely can affect how you feel and view your children. Yeah. But the fear is absolutely, to your point, Cody.
And all we can do is like find our way through it. Whether that is a meditation, whether that is therapy, whether that is just telling yourself a different story. I'm just grateful that we're here and that this doctor is going to see her and, you know, like it's work that, you know, we had that conversation with Felicia Bailey and, you know, my friend Portia, and it's like they lost babies.
Right.
And have had to go through the world knowing that that's possible. And raising, you know, their newest children, their other children,
having more children,
and with a smile on their face, and not just a smile on their face, but like with genuine joy and love, and find that. And as she has said, I keep pointing to the chair where she was sitting.
Hey, goes to Felicia.
as she has said, like that's work.
It is
to find that grateful place every single day.
And I know it is. And I think that's the thing. You know, I'm very like aware. I'm such an empath. I'm aware of feelings. Totally. I am a feelings person. If you cry in front of me, I'm probably going to cry as soon as you leave. And that's just how I am.
As soon as you leave, not in front of you because I'm a thug.
Well, I've been slipping up a lot lately, y'all. I've been slipping. But no, I think that is the thing. I was getting into such a space where I was like, okay, letting Amira have more responsibility. She's been babysitting a lot, which has been so great and amazing, giving her that. And also just me, it feels good to let your kids do something, right? Because when you come home safe, it kind of reintroduces like they're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. Every time you come home and everybody's okay, it makes you feel better and better and better. But I think I live my life with like, when's that ball going to drop type of mentality, because that has been my whole life. Yeah. And it just scares the shit out of me, because I just wish that I knew that my kids would live forever or at least until they're old. And then I could be fine.
I have to remember this quote. I'm a mess it up, and y'all gonna have to help me because I feel like Melanie's gonna know it. But it's like fear and faith are the same. They require you to believe in something that hasn't happened, but you basically have to choose between
which one.
I'm messing this up, but essentially,
the sentiment is understood.
Fear and faith are the same. Both require you to believe in something that hasn't happened.
Oh, that's deep.
And so you're either choosing to have faith or choosing to be afraid.
Right.
And one of them is going to eat up your inside.
But isn't having faith fear too? I feel like faith is fearful. I don't know. I
totally know what you mean by that.
But the peace and the faith of like, I understand the faith of believing that whatever it is, whatever the faith is that it's with purpose, is that something will be revealed to you through this process, that you will be given what you need to get through this process, that there is something happening that is bigger than what you can understand or comprehend right now. Faith is really, I think it's definitive personally for each person of what it means. You know, some people give that up to God, Jesus, whoever that is that they, you know, whatever they believe in. But that's actually a really important thing to say, is that, you know, faith and fear. I would love to know the actual quote, but the sentiment to me,
for me
is something.
I mean,
we're going to say it's smooth. We're going to say it's smooth.
I mean, I feel like that was a pretty smooth
it's
quote. I mean, if not, make that your quote.
Make that your quote.
Requote the quote.
Requote the quote.
I mean, that's valid. I'm a very spiritual person, and I do have like amazing relationship with God. But I think as I'm getting older and just like the more you learn about the world and life, I do feel like sometimes, don't nobody get mad at me, but like religion is cool and it's beautiful, but it also is like, did somebody make this up a long time ago who just wanted everybody to feel better? Because at the end of the day, sometimes it's just like, when my sister died and people were like, God had, I almost cussed out every person that told me God had a bigger plan.
Yeah.
Like that to me is like the rudest shit in the world. Like other people find comfort in that.
Yeah.
Don't fucking tell me my kid died, my sister died, nobody died or whatever because God had a bigger plan. Like that's stupid as hell to me. But whatever. But it's not just to me. Shout out to whoever that comforts. But I'm just like, I feel like, because people would be like, look at your life now, and you moved to New York right after your sister died, and all these things happened. I'm like, but that stuff could have probably still happened with her alive. Or I do feel like we have many paths in life. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like this could be a great path. I don't know what my other path would have been. It could have been even more lit than this one.
Right, with my sister.
My sister.
So you're totally right. You're 100. I completely agree with you. And I have that thought often too, which is just like somebody made this, up a long time ago, right? But it's still a choice.
True.
It's still a choice to let yourself be comforted, right? Because the reality is you can't change the thing.
That's true.
You cannot change that your sister is not here. Yeah. But you also made a decision about Amira,
right,
when you were pregnant that maybe you wouldn't have made. You know what I mean? Like, and speaking of Amira, even your experience with Azara has brought about. See, now I'm going to cry. I told you I was crying when you told me this. I don't know why, but has brought about Amira like showing up for her and for you.
Yeah.
Like in ways that like you get to say, oh my gosh, look at this child I raised and look at this big sister that she is. And like, sure, you will see that in many things, but you get to see it in this moment and you get to be comforted by that.
Yes. So she's crying because I
I'm
told
soft,
her how
that's
last
why.
night, when as soon as it happened, Amira like threw on her sweatpants and she's like, can I go with you guys? And she's like, I just want to be there for Azara. And I'm not, bitch, you must have made me cry. No, I'm not doing that today. And so I was like, yes, stop, Melanie. Oh my God. This is not about to be the sisterhood of crying moms. Like, this is ridiculous. Absolutely not. I'm just going to keep talking. I'm not looking at either of you right now.
The way I couldn't even drink that coffee just now.
So she just was like, I just want to be there for Azara. And I'm like, absolutely. And so there's a lot of things I want to share. Number one, the urgent care had holiday hours, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Shout out to Martin Luther King.
It pissed me off. I'm like, these white doctors don't care about these Negroes. Like, y'all just didn't want to work today. I was so pissed. So we're like rushing in the car, and I didn't know where any of the urgent cares are. So that's an issue within itself. Girl. So I called Cody. I'm like, where do you go? Da-da-da. And so I went down the street, and it was closed. So we're like running in a mirror. Like, she just picks up Azara and like carries her to the car, and she's sitting in the back seat with her and making sure that she's like buckled in. She's like, Mom, just go to the next place. So we go to the next place, and in that one, they were like, it's a 4-hour wait. And Amira's like, no, Mom, we have to find somewhere else. We have to go now. Like, they're not closed. Her eyes are not, she's just like so protective of her sister. She picks her up again and carries her to the car. And then we go to the emergency room, and like, she's holding her hand the whole time. She sits her on her lap while we're in the waiting room. She like pulls out her phone, and they're watching their little Korean TV shows on her phone while we're in the in the emergency room. And she never left her side. Oh my God, I'm getting like
let it out, Ashley.
No. But she like never let her hand go, and it just made me think about my sister and how she always protected me, and she was my best friend, and it just made me feel really good as a mom. Like, damn, my kids really love each other, and my oldest is like, she shows up when she needs to. And that's really all that you can ask for as a parent. It's like, you do all this stuff, and you're like, am I doing a good job? I know Amira's smart. Book smart, that's not even a question for me. She came out the womb, like, just ahead of the game. But I care so much about the type of person she's going to be. You know what I mean? Like, are you going to be good to your sisters and love them? And like, that whole I don't talk to my sister shit, like, I don't talk to one of my brothers. Like, I don't want that for my kids. And it's just like such a thing in a lot of families. And that's my biggest fear. Like, I don't want my kids growing up being like, I don't talk to my sister. I hate that shit. And I just was reminded, like, okay, they might be okay. Like, they might really be good. And I try to keep them understanding the importance of one another and letting each other shine and like all of these different things, and trying not to repeat toxic behaviors that we all had in our family dynamics. And it just made me feel really good because Azara loves Amira so much. Like, she idolizes her and wants to do everything. If Amir has a ponytail, she wants a ponytail. You like her interests are even the same things that Amir likes. So it just made me feel good for Azara to know like her sister supported her and loved her and was there for her, you know? Like that had to feel good for her. She was just like laying on her. And I was like, and it also made me miss my sister too. That should just be triggering
But
as hell.
I would just like to point out that even through that whole journey of conversation for the things that were triggering, traumatizing, anxiety inducing, all of these difficult things, that even in that stress and panic of trying to find an emergency room for your daughter whose eyes are closed, you were still given a moment of gratitude, of celebration, of comfort, of ease, of something that brought peace, and like what a blessing. And so I feel like, to the point of what we were talking about back, is that there are those moments even in the storm.
True.
And that's what faith does for some people. And that's what like that moment did for you. It gave you something to be like, okay, like it's okay. Like look at this blessing that I have within these daughters. And that's just, I'm so glad that you were able to see that and feel that in that moment of panic, because
I mean, I think
it made
I'm
us all
good
cry
at
today.
that.
Made us all cry today.
Right. No, I am good at that. I mean, I tell you guys all the time, when my sister passed away, I had one of the best days of my life with my friends. Like, I'm really good at finding joy in bad moments. I don't really live in moments, anything too long. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if I'm angry and something makes me laugh, I'm going to laugh. Like, I don't assign feelings to myself. I just feel whatever I feel in that moment. And then when I don't feel it anymore, I move on. And I'm good at that, but it's still like different when it comes to your kids. You know what I mean?
But I think it's just something for anyone who's listening out there that might find themselves in that situation, that it is possible. Like, it's not like all is not lost in that moment. Like they're look for the light. Like look for the moment that gives you that peace or that joy or something to celebrate or be happy about, whatever it is. Because I do think it is possible. Even in the bleakest of times, I do think it's possible.
No, I agree. You always bring it home, Mel.
You know, I love as soon as she says, for anyone listening out there.
because
Rev run, man.
Because I often think about it. You know, it's so, we sit here and we would talk like this if the microphones weren't on, which is really beautiful for us. But I think that that's like the gift, and I think that that's the purpose of all of this, is when we get to share. You know, like, I appreciate just you even sharing something so personal that's going on with your children.
Well, I was made to.
For me,
no, I'm kidding.
For me, I forced her to cracking whip back here.
On the contract.
Like, girl, that's what we're talking about today.
Share personal stories.
You know, and even the thing, like, not even recognizing that, even for me, like, the reason why I was getting so emotional listening to you was because I think about the fact that I almost didn't have a second child.
Aww.
And now I get to experience.
Oh,
why are you doing this? I get to experience seeing my son be an amazing big brother.
Oh,
and I never thought that was that important to me until I see it now.
Yeah.
So when I hear you say things like this, I'm like, what a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
What a beautiful thing. And I didn't know I was going to miss out on it, you know? So,
and Cam's going to be a good
he's
brother.
The best big brother, but it made me have a moment of gratitude. And so I just, as much as I'm like on this thing, I'm also a listener, you know? So I think about the people that are at home that don't know what to do, don't know how to feel, find themselves in situations that feel very isolating. And that's why I think motherhood is so important.
Yeah.
Talking about it, you know?
And
I'm going to get my period. I'm so emotional. But yeah, like, I'm grateful. I'm very grateful
that Ashley put a hex on you.
I'm very grateful that Ashley put a hex on me and gave me another baby. But no, I'm just very grateful for the opportunity to share and to listen, and for everyone out there who is listening.
No, 1,000%. I think it is exactly what you said. It feels very isolating being a mother every day. You feel like stuff is just happening to you, you know, and you don't realize, like, pretty much everyone with children is stressed the fuck out. In some way or shape or form, you know?
I recently had a conversation with another mom who was telling me that she would have these very dark thoughts about her sons, like crazy thoughts of like danger and like, you know, happening to her children. And, you know, Katsu, I learned that she had suffered some trauma growing up, and she's very much like someone who likes to control things. And you know, like, not that I'm a therapist, but we ended up talking about therapy.
You kind of are.
I'm kind of a therapist, but realizing that like those thoughts come from the fact that her childhood was compromised with trauma. So this thing that comes out in these thoughts for her children, and she's just like, why do I think these things? It's because her child self was traumatized, and her desire to control everything and feel like she can't makes her feel like something terrible could happen. And I think that that's really important. We are just parents, but we don't have all the answers. No. We're people still healing. We're people still trying to figure out our own shit. We're people still trying to raise human beings to figure out their shit without, also while trying to like control everything with like, it's the stress. The stress, y'all.
I have a random story that is both dramatic and then funny. But also, Ashley, we've talked about like sometimes how kids say things about like angels and like your father. I see your father, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yes.
So as my children like always end up in my bed, last night was like extra early. Like they came in very early, and the orientation was a little different. It was real tight. And so by like 3:30 or was it 4:30, I left. Like I had to get out of the bed, and they were in deep enough sleep that I could do that, and they didn't follow me. But eventually Aristotle comes in Brooks's room where I was sleeping.
Other child.
And he comes in and he's like, Mommy, Brooks said the other Aristotle and Langston died.
What?
And I'm like, what?
What?
And I'm like, the other Aristotle and like, what? And he's like, yeah, Brooks said they died. And I was like, I'm trying to get to like what's happening here. Because it's like, it's never what you think it is, right?
Wait, but what was that movie where they were like.
The tethers, the others.
Or the others.
Okay.
The others.
I don't watch these things for this exact reason, okay?
That's the first thing I thought about was like the tethers.
So I'm like, I don't even remember what I asked him right away, right? But eventually we got to like, he said like, eventually we got to, Aristotle, who you were named after.
Oh.
And Langston Hughes. Right? Like this is at 5 a.m. this morning that I'm like, oh yes, honey, Aristotle was a philosopher. And like I'm like,
hilarious.
Yes, they died.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And but I went through all the things, right?
I'm
like,
5 a.m.
I'm like, what sort of like.
Right. Message are you downloading? Who's talking to you in your sleep?
Yes, at 5 a.m. Like it was a lot. And then I'm like, why would Brooks say this? But,
oh my God.
Brooks is smart, right? So yeah, that's my story. That both shares how my children keep me awake at night.
Yes.
Because they be in my bed. And also how they startle me.
Or you're raising the tethers.
Or I haven't seen that movie. So.
You should not watch it.
Absolutely.
Do not watch it.
Go
Never
watch it.
not happening here. No. Any movie where the trailer goes, I'm not seeing it.
You don't want to go see Megan?
No, especially. Like, why is Megan like the AI Chucky?
That's what I
Like,
said.
what's happening? Yeah, girl.
You ever see the doll? She's like a killer doll with a knife, and she'd be like dancing like meow, meow.
No, because I won't even watch the trailer. I've only seen the billboards and been like,
I don't
nope.
know anything about
She's like a girl Chucky doll, basically, but she's
name her
like
Megan.
very high def and
Yes.
she cute. It's creepy.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yep. All weird. So yeah, on that note, guys, choose between faith and fear all the time.
Yeah.
You're making a choice.
Yeah.
And
It's gonna be okay.
and find like the gratitude and the joy wherever you can.
Amen to that.
And hold on to that. Yes. Snaps.
Cody.
I guess that's
we
been.
didn't introduce ourselves. Does that matter?
It's never too late. I'm Melanie.
I'm
the cancer who's
Ashley.
crying in here.
I'm Ashley, the thug who doesn't cry. No, I'm kidding. I'll cry
The
outside.
thug who's cried the last several episodes.
Cry baby. It's fine.
And this is Cody here signing off. The new Langston and Aristotle.